Hi there, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the start of a new project, a very special project. This is a Mende Super 250-9. It got me a bit confused because I didn't realize that Mende was the predecessor of Nordmende. Should have guessed that. But this is a special radio because I was contacted by René from the Netherlands, who asked me whether I would accept a gift of his radio to work on. All he wanted was to see his radio worked on. And of course, because I'd never worked on these before, this particular one I'd never seen before, I jumped at the opportunity. René, thank you very much for your gift. I appreciate it. I hope I will do your gift justice. I certainly hope I will. So we're going to start on this in the usual manner. I think what I want to do is have a look at this. I have no idea whether this is working or not. I'm not going to switch it on right away. So I hope you enjoy it. Stick around. It could be fun. But before we carry on, I just want to tell you about the sponsors of our video. They're PCBWay. You can find them on PCBWay.com. Links are in the description below. They're having the 8th anniversary promotions right now. So whatever you need, just jump to this website and see what they have there for you. Something else they've launched is a new service called a one-stop solution, which is contract manufacturing that allows you to produce an entire range of products. They'll offer all the services required. So they'll do the product design, development, engineering, and so on. They're experts at printed circuit board manufacturing, component and technical part procurement, turnkey operations, CNC machining, everything else that you may need to get your product out there. They've got it. So go and visit them. And once again, I want to thank them for their support. Here we have the Mende or Nordmende 250-9, and strangely enough, it's actually just got the Mende logo. Now, the Mende is the predecessor of the company Nordmende. I've checked the history. I believe this company was formed in 1923 by a Mr. Mende or a Herr Mende, and in 1947, his son rebranded it to Nordmende when he moved the company to Bremen, I believe it was. But it's still got the original logo, and that really fascinated me a bit because I'd never seen one with that logo. I'd always seen Nordmende. I've done a few Nordmendes, I'm not sure how many. Nordmende, this is just Mende 250-9, and it looks pretty simple. It actually looks pretty simple. And I'm just checking out the condition of the bodywork. This one is going to be, it's going to need me to sand it down to the veneer and redo it because all the, what is this? This is sort of like a lacquer. It's all just chipping away, which is a good thing because it gives you no options. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. No questions asked. Now, what have we got here? We've got a very simple radio, but it does have FM. And we've got the usual thing here, TA, which is pickup, K, which is shortwave. These aren't sticking too well. M for medium wave. I can't see what that is. L for long wave. I can barely see the label on there. And UK for FM. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this dial glass is one of those that's got the labeling as a veneer, as a decal. I think these are the ones that really just disappear on you, so I've got to be very careful when cleaning it. Checking out the tuning. This is just floating around, so the dial cord is obviously gone. What do we have here? We've got the on-off switch is on this button, so it'll be on-off and volume, I presume, and then we've got, I would imagine this is a tone control at the back. So that's all it's got. It's got on-off and volume, tone control, and tuning. This button here is actually sticking out very far, and this back ridge does not move from the front one. Only that one does. So that's there just for the look. We've got a magic eye. Nothing too fantastic, nothing too dramatic here. It's nothing too unusual. This is sort of plastics, that's all intact. There's a lot of dust, but nothing is messed up here. Nothing is broken. Good. Let's look at the sides. Well, yeah, okay. As I said, needs to be taken down to the veneer. The back is in very good shape. I don't see much writing on it. Oh, I can see it here. It's very, very faint. It says Nordmende Bremen. your antennas. This is, one of them will be speaker, one of them will be the pickup input. Voltage selector behind this little plastic. Got a pretty neat old-fashioned plug here. Oh, it's broken. Pity. It has to be replaced anyway, but these things are original. Let me take that out and see what we're facing. I think it's just 2 screws. Now, Rene sent me this from the Netherlands, and he said, as far as he can tell, it has not been tampered with whatsoever, which is always the way you like it, because you don't want somebody else's mess-ups to become your challenge. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, so we'll put this aside. And we've got the insides. Let's have a closer look, see what they've got here. Now again, this is looking very much like a normal German radio from that era. This is 1952-53. It's got a few things that are slightly different. These IF transformers, you've got the adjustments all on the outside. There'll be 4. There'll be 2 for FM, 2 for AM. Same with these guys over here. There's another small one over here. I presume this is the FM one. But these guys are pretty easy to tune, unless they're stuck. But at least they're on the outside, so you don't have to go on the underside at all. This looks pretty simple. It looks like a fairly small chassis. So it looks fairly simple. You've got the transformer over here. And the transformer has got, what do we have here? 110, 125, 150, 220, and it's got a 240 volt selector, which is great because we can use it on 240. And this transformer looks to be in good shape. The fuse over here, don't know if that's burnt out or not. One of these AG selenium rectifiers. These things, when I first started doing restorations, really got me, because you see the capacitors here, and then you see this thing, and this thing doesn't look like a rectifier, but it's a selenium rectifier. Usually need to replace them. They've got the color coding to tell you which ones are the AC in and which ones are the ground and DC out. That's right on here, which is great. So the whole power supply, the first stage of the power supply is right on there. Selenium rectifier and the 2 filter caps. I presume this is 2. Yes, it's a 50 plus 50. So that's all here outside the main chassis. And then all the wiring will then just go in. We've got this the second IF transformer over here. And those are definitely easily accessible, which is great. This is the EF80. This will be an IF amplifier. No, this will be the, what have we got here? We've got a tube behind here. We've got an EL41 output power tube at the back there. I'm not even sure that I have spares of that, but you can get them. And there's one here, which I presume will be that the diodes and, detector and so on. This EF80 is probably the IF amplifier. There's our output transformer with the usual capacitors we need to replace on top. We've got our tuning condenser here for AM. Here we can see the first IF transformer. This is the FM tube and the mix oscillator. If this was a more recent radio, when I say more recent, sort of late 50s, this would be an ECC85 and a ECH81, but I think this is an ECH81, but I think this guy is not an ECC85. I've got to check the schematic, which I found, by the way. I do have that. And here is another sort of IF transformer. I think that's part of the FM block down here. Strange, I had a feeling that this thing came with a schematic because Rene sent me a lot of photos. Oh, I think it's here. I think we've got a schematic down there. Good stuff. We can see all the dial codes just floating around here. Well, that's not too much of a problem. There's instructions. There's a drawing to tell you how to go about that. Here we've got the magic eye. And again, I'm not sure which one it is, but this one we have to remove when we get the radio out to work on. And now look at the speaker. As usual, this thing's got a massive speaker. These guys are amazing. If this thing's in good condition, this is going to sound great. It really is. But I'm looking forward to taking this out because, as I said, I've not seen one of these before. I've not worked on one of these before. I think the oldest German era radio that I've worked on, if I'm not mistaken, was the SABA Freiburg 3, W3, which I believe was 1953. And that thing was incredibly advanced for its age, for that period. And it was very, very complex. It was massively complex. I've got a whole series on the restoration of that, which I'll link above if you're interested. This thing's going to be a lot simpler. I've got to be careful saying that, because whenever I say that, Lady Luck decides to punish me. But yeah, okay, it is a simpler radio, a much simpler radio, and hopefully the restoration will be a lot simpler. Let's put it that way. This way I'm not tempting fate. I'm going to get this thing out of the cabinet. I'm going to put this on my contraption so that I can flip it around and work on it. I'll have to desolder. I'll probably be able to just take the magic eye, but I'll have to desolder the speaker wires. And then I'll show you what we have when we look on the underside as well. And here's the inside with the usual dust and grime. Nothing unexpected. There's a bit of felt down here that I've got to remember to replace. This thing's just falling apart. Nothing else has come loose. Here's the schematic, which I need to remove carefully because it's stuck to the bottom. Yeah, I need to remove the bottom cover and remove that carefully so I don't damage it. I've got the schematic, I've got it on the net on NVHR.nl. I've got a copy of the schematic on the web from NVHR.nl. You can also get them from Electrotania, but always save the originals. So that's it. So other than desoldering the speaker, the dipole antenna, internal dipole antenna, that was it. I removed the magic eye. I've taken it out of its socket because I don't know if this one works, and if it does, they are rare, so there'll be one less tube to worry about. These things floating around, you can break them quite easily. But now it's time to put this thing on that contraption so that I can flip it around, put this aside for a later date. What is this? Bit of rubber, go wash my hands, make some coffee. Okay, let me carry on. And finally, here are the insides. Not much is unexpected here. I don't see anything new. I think nobody tampered with this, as Renee mentioned, which is great. Couple of, oh, this is film caps. These have got ceramic capacitors. Those normally hold out pretty well. Obviously all this will be cleaned and checked. These resistors, I'm not sure what they're going to be like. Usually they're either all good or all bad. But yeah, this looks quite normal. Quite a few more caps here that need changing. These guys here will need changing. There's a paper cap. There's, I think, another paper cap. There's another one. There's another one. So those will all get changed. And, oh, there's one down there, which is going to be a bit of a bummer to get to, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Remember, this is 1952-53, so any capacitors that could go wrong will have gone wrong. So I'll need to be very careful with that. There's an electrolytic. That is, what is that, 10 microfarads? I can't read it too well, but that'll obviously get replaced. All these resistors, you can see the values on them. Nothing unusual, nothing unusual. Let's look at that switch in the pot. This is the pot and the switch and the tone control. So this has got two potentiometers in there. One is the tone, one is the volume. And it's got the switch at the back. We can see it's a dual switch. Or is it single? I'm not sure. But anyway, there's the switch on off. Sometimes these switches have a problem after all these years, but it shouldn't be difficult to repair. We can actually break this apart. It's quite easy to take out, this one actually. So you can actually bring it out if necessary, open it up and clean up the contacts. Another few components on there. Pieces of rubber are flying off everywhere. These things are completely dried out. Got our dial lamps on there. There's another one on the other side. This is where the rectifier is. I think it's all wired to the outside, which makes it quite easy to work on, because if it was in there, that would be a problem. But this should be quite easy to work on. Great stuff. Okay, not much to it. So where do I go from here? Well, since I don't know the condition of this, the first things I'm going to do in this order will be test the transformer. And I can do that with a method that I've recorded in the building blocks section. I'll link to the video above, all without power, but I can test if it's fine. I can test the output transformer. I will check the mains circuit coming in, make sure that the switch is working and that power is getting to the transformer. And then we can proceed from there. We can't really, this has got a selenium rectifier, so you can't just remove the rectifier valve. If you had a tube rectifier, you could just remove the valve and you wouldn't have mains or high voltage going through, so you could test that, but we can't do that here. But we'll take it one step at a time. Should be fun. Well, I've done the transformer tests. I tested the power transformer using the method I mentioned. It tests perfectly fine. I've tested the output transformer, which tests fine as well. So what I've done is I've set this up to try and power it up slowly and see what we get. What I've also done is I've changed the power cable to a 3-wire line, and I've connected the ground to the chassis. I've put this in here so we can connect the speaker. I'm being optimistic. I've got the speaker connected over here. I've got mini whip antenna in here. Why don't we get really optimistic? I'm leaving all the tubes in there. I don't see anything flying around. I've got everything set up. I'm going to use the Variac and the dim bulb tester, and I'm going to power it up slowly and see what we get. I'm setting this to medium wave, and I'm also going to leave it on. Put it on full volume, just so that if we do hear something, we will hear something. Okay, everything's ready. I've got this thing monitoring B+. I've got this off. I've got that on 0. I've got one light bulb on here, 40-watt light bulb. I'm going to leave it very restricted. I'm going to put that on. That's still on 0 volts AC. Now we work on 240 over here, so I'm going to slowly crank that up and see if we get anything. Let's go up to about 50 volts. Well, that is certainly coming up. There's nothing from the radio. No light bulbs have come on, so I think the dial lamps are burnt out. That's not a problem. I've already got 70 volts on there. Let me go up a bit more. I I'm watching this current here, 40 milliamps, so fairly low. Let's go up to about 100. Just over 100 volts AC coming in. 60 milliamps, that's at 130. Obviously no sound, don't expect it at this stage. But nothing smoking and there's no spiking going on with the current. So I'm going to put it up a bit more. 150. That's up to 182. So it's starting to get up there. But because this is only about, well, the radio's seeing 136 because of the drop across that lamp. I don't expect much because the heaters won't be high enough for the heaters. So let me carry on. The important thing is I don't see any shorts. $200 volts. Leave it like that for a little while. And the heaters are actually coming up because the tubes are starting to draw current. I can see a very faint glow on there. It's drawing 100 milliamps overall. I can see the heaters on the radio. So this thing is starting to operate. I'm going to put it up. I've still got one light bulb, so it's very restricted. I'm going to put it up to 220. Now I can see that's becoming orange. It's pulling 110 milliamps. Still nothing dramatic going on here. I don't hear anything. Not even a crackle. Power tube is lit up. Do I hear a hum? Yep, I can hear a hum from the speaker. Now, I can't tune with this because the dial cord is all over the place, but I can tune it manually. Ah, I hear something. Just hear it. I'll get the microphone close up. Very, very faint. Volume's on max. Okay, it's picking up on medium wave. Let me put the voltage up. Well, actually, I'm going to give it another light bulb. So that means there's 100 watts on there now. Volume on max. Very, very faint. This is very, very faint. Let me try long wave. Okay, it's picking up. It's very faint, but it is picking up. Let's try short wave. I've got the microphone almost touching the speaker. Just noise. Let's try FM. I'm not sure how the FM is tuned, because I don't think it's that guy. Maybe it is. Maybe it's connected internally. Ha! Beautiful. I've got something. I'm going to up the voltage to 230. So we've got 224 B plus now. I'm going to give it another light bulb. FM usually needs a bit more voltage. And this is with the antenna in the wrong place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the antenna to the right place. It's on the AM antenna. And change it to the external FM antenna. Didn't make much difference at all. This thing is working. Lots of hum. Okay, I can make it out, but it's very, very faint. So let me put that off. And let's recap. We've got about 250 volts on the B+. We've got audio coming out, so the power amplifier seems to be working. The actual AM and FM circuits seem to be working. Very, very low level. It could be the tubes. Mind you, I've done no changes on capacitors or anything here. I've checked no resistors. I've done absolutely nothing in here. The only thing I did was I sprayed some contact cleaner onto the switch so that when you switch it on, it would make properly. And I just did the testing of that with a multimeter. So I made sure that the main supply was coming in correctly, and it was. And now we've done the test, and we've got reception on FM, we've got reception on the AM bands, and we have very low volume, which is a great place to start, because if you do it right, it can only get better. And that, my friends, I think is where we're at. And that's what I have to tackle now, one step at a time. I'm going to do the usual thing. I'm going to change the supply capacitor or capacitors, change the rectifier to a silicon rectifier. And I'm not sure whether I'll do that underneath or restuff that one. I want the look to stay the same, so I might even restuff that one as well. I will restuff the capacitor. I'll check all the other connections in the supply circuit, and then I will start on the audio amplifier circuit. Make sure that we can get a good high-level sound coming out when we feed a signal to the pickup input, which is this one, TA over here, and then go forward as I usually do, one step at a time. So that's it for now. I'm going to leave you for now, and hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and stay safe.